Hey everyone, welcome to Tuesday Treadmill Talks 50! Hooray! So fucking exciting. Few things. Number one, people still watch these. I made 50 of them and people still like them. I don't know why. But anyway, thank you guys for all the views of the Tuesday Treadmill Talks and all of my stuff. Let's get into some updates. First, let's talk about the weather. And I'm not kidding, the weather. This weather has been crazy. So in California, we've had a very dry winter. It's bad. It means it's probably going to, I'm almost for certain there's going to be yet another drought that I'll have to fucking deal with. Yeah, it's like California's become the driest of the states. But it snowed on Thursday. Yeah, it snowed. And fucking rain, it goes immediately to snow. I had to leave work early so I didn't get trapped in the city I work in. So I lost 2 hours of pay because of the fucking snow. But if that wasn't enough, I wake up this morning and it's fucking cold. And it's pouring fucking rain. And I'm like, oh shit. Guess gotta drive in the rain. This isn't as bad as the snow. And I'm walking up the stairs to get to my car and I hear this like slush. And I'm like, why is there mud on the stairs? And I'm like, that's not mud. That's snow. Again. So it snowed sometime in the middle of the night early this morning. And then it rained a whole hell of a lot. And then when I got back here this afternoon, it snowed again. Yeah, like within the last hour, it snowed for the third time in less than a week. And what I mean by it just didn't continuously snow. It snowed a whole bunch, it rained a whole bunch, then it stopped. And then it snowed again. And now it just looks dreary outside. But yeah. Fucking snow. It'll be the death of me. And I mean, it's a nice change of pace, but I hate driving in it. I don't own chains. I typically don't have to use this. This is the first time I've had to drive in the snow in my car. I've had this car for a couple years, and I've never had to drive in the snow in it. That's how long it's been since we had snow. And the fact we've gotten it 3 times in less than a week is ridiculous. Why can't it just continuously rain for a week? I prefer that. But it is what it is. God. Moving on, a big video mistake. Not really big mistake, but in my Lost Stars review, which if you haven't already, go check it out. I think it's a pretty good review, except for this. The Geeks Addict sent me a message. It's like, look, where you said there might be a possible continuity error with them not knowing about the Scarif and Jedha tests with the Death Star, they could have just not known at all. And there's like some sort of short story or something talking about that. So, okay. There had to be something, or if there wasn't yet, there would be. More than likely. But with this new canon, I don't know. They had a big fuck up with that crate one shot where Leia claimed she'd never been there when in Leia Princess of Alderaan she had. But that's because the Marvel comics are just trash 90% of the time. God. What else? Oh, there's a big haul coming up. And it's not big in quantity as it is big in what specific things I got. Now, mind you, I'm at a point in my life where I'm not collecting as much. I'm more focused on other things at this time. And one of them is to read the stuff I've bought. Because I have a whole hell of a lot of Star Wars to read that I haven't read yet. For instance, I'm working on the 3rd Darth Bane book. If you remember, it took me forever to get Dynasty of Evil. So now I might as well read it. Let's see. But I got some big stuff coming out at you. One huge haul. It's going to be postponed, though, until I get the Last Jedi novelization. So I just don't have to do another haul for a while. Yeah, there's some... I was looking at the Audible credits, like, what's coming out Star Wars-wise. And so we have Last Jedi comes out in a couple days, if not a week. Then we have a Han Solo book. I think it's a Han Solo book. It might be a Han Solo book of short stories written by one person. The author's name, I don't even remember it, but it's someone I've never heard of, and that always makes me worried. It shouldn't, because there's been thousands of people who've written Star Wars and never written Star Wars before, and they've been great. But then you have your Chuck Wendigs and your Kevin Hearns. Also your Elizabeth Wing. They're just terrible writers when it comes to Star Wars. And they could be great at other things, but Star Wars is just not their thing. So I get worried now when I see a new face writing Star Wars. And not to mention, I think this is going to be the only Han Solo tie-in to the Solo a Star Wars story film. So I'm a little worried that they half-assed this. I noticed that this hasn't been up for pre-orders at all. And that's got me worried too. And on top of that, it might be... I saw that it's multiple narrators. Which leads me to believe we have another Canto Bight situation, which could be fine. But the thing is, that's way too many short story books. And what we have... This be what, the third? Oh, I'll count it as fourth if we count The Legends of Luke Skywalker, which kind of isn't, but kind of is. So, I don't know about this. This seems awful. Like, they've just gotten fucking lazy with the new canon. Jesus Christ. And then we have Thrawn Alliances, which is the only new canon book I'm kind of looking forward to, because I'm just in the mood to read a new Timothy Zahn novel. So yeah. God, that's another complaint I have. They need to put all the Timothy Zahn novels unabridged. Like, they need to record them unabridged. Because you have the Thrawn trilogy and you have the Hand of Thrawn duology that are unabridged. And I think Scoundrels is unabridged. But Choices of One and Allegiance are abridged. And what is it? What is it? Outbound Flight is abridged. And that's the problem I have with a lot of the older Star Wars books. If they have an audiobook, it's severely abridged. Like, we're talking X-Wing novels that are hundreds of pages are only 3-hour audiobooks. It's absurd. And that's with the exception of the Thrawn trilogy and Hand of Thrawn duology, that's all a bantam. It's all abridged. And you can find both abridged and unabridged of the Zahn books. But that's like it. And I don't like that. I really don't. I think it's a very big disservice to Star Wars fans. And not to mention, I've been listening to the Darth Bane trilogy because I don't have time to read a whole lot. I have 16 units this semester, and so that means that if I'm reading, it's typically for school. It's typically textbooks or other material like that. So I don't have a whole lot of time to spend reading anymore, at least for the next couple months. So I prefer to listen to books because I drive a whole lot. I commute to school. It's like close to a half an hour commute. I commute to work, which is the same, or both in the same day. I do that. That sucks. But I drive a lot. So I like to listen to audiobooks. If I'm working alone in the back of the store, I like to listen to audiobooks. So it's nice that at least the Old Republic novels are all unabridged. But the sad thing is, the only post-Jedi books besides the Zahn post-Jedi stuff is all abridged, except for, I think, Fate of the Jedi. The Legacy of the Force is abridged. New Jedi Order is abridged. It's really irritating. This Road to Crucible would have been... I would have started that sooner if it wasn't all abridged. Granted, I found the prequel novels unabridged. I've listened to The Phantom Menace, as I said. Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith are unabridged. Some Clone Wars novels are unabridged. Mainly the post-Filoni's Clone Wars movie stuff is unabridged. But the movie adaptation novel is abridged. Why? Seriously, it's so irritating. This could have been a can rant, but hell, it's Tuesday Treadmill Talks 50. You might as well get some sort of can rant out of this. Just what the fuck? Really? I think abridged productions shouldn't exist. Or if they do, you should be able to buy the unabridged and you get the abridged free with it. Because you might as well... An Audible credit is about, what, $15 a month. For an Audible membership, it's about $15. So it's really fucking irritating when you spend an Audible credit on something that shouldn't be more than $2. It's kind of a waste of money. So I don't pick up any of these Bantam abridged stories. But this is something that Lucasfilm could do. They could re-release unabridged productions, or even better, record some of these books, like the A.C. Crispin books. They released them in a leather-bound trilogy set. Why don't you re-release the audiobooks? Really? That's just like printing money. You don't have to write anything new. Just release Paradise Snare and the Rebel Dawn and all of them. Or like the Brian Daly books, I don't even think have audiobooks. If they do, I've never seen them. You could do that. Or the Lando trilogy, you could release those. Those probably don't. Only 2 of them got released in hardcover. Be like printing money. You could start with that. Just unabridged books. I don't know. Disney does a lot of things that don't make a whole lot of sense to me. Also, I've noticed a lot of collecting has changed. And what I mean by this is young adult novels are getting hard to get. Like, I was looking into completing my Jedi Apprentice series. I have about half of them that I bought as a kid. Because when I was a kid, Jedi Apprentice, I was too young to read it. Like, I just didn't get it. Same with Jedi Quest to a certain extent. By the time I was at that reading level, I was reading the Boba Fett books. And I have all of those. Last of the Jedi came out as well. I have all but the last one of those. I stopped after a certain point because I just didn't like Ferris Olin. But I think I've talked about that on Star Wars Legends. He's one of my least favorite Star Wars characters ever of the EU. Kind of a bitch. But that's my opinion on him. So I'm cool. That's sort of more of my going towards collecting is the young adult stuff. And we'll get into more of that in the next haul. But it's not a priority for me right now. Because it's not in the really expensive area unless you're going with Galaxy of Fear. And that's ridiculously expensive for a Goosebumps ripoff. But, like with there's certain series that are a pain in the ass to get. Like the Clone Wars Secret Missions is what I'm trying to look into now. It's nearly impossible to find them on eBay. And I'm talking paperbacks. You know, my hardcover collection, it wouldn't matter so much because those never existed in hardcover to my knowledge. But then again, my knowledge isn't everything. I didn't know they printed the first 3 Boba Fett's in a kids novels in a 3-in-1. Matt didn't even know that. Which that was a fun find. I thought it was a bootleg for a while, but I bought that months ago. That's a fun find. But a lot of the young adult Star Wars stuff was never printed in hardcover. We could probably talk about this on Legends, but I'll just bring it up now. What was it? Young Jedi Knights in its entirety is in 3 hardcovers that are very hard to find, but, well, not very, but they're really overpriced. I have all of those. The Jedi Prince books are in 2 3-in-1s, which those weren't considered canon for a long time, because how fucking weird they are and bad. I've heard they're bad. It's kind of a 50-50 thing. A lot of people have nostalgia over them, because there weren't a whole lot of young adult Star Wars at the time, I guess. I don't know. I don't even know when those came out. Because I remember seeing them at Barnes & Noble when I was very small, I think. But I don't know. But the Boba Fett books, the first 2 were in hardcover. And then they did the 3-in-1 at some point, but I have no idea when. But Jedi Quest, the one-shot novel, was in hardcover, but the series was never in hardcover, the 10-book series. Jedi Apprentice never made it to hardcover, which I don't know why. That seemed like the most popular of the Jude Watson series, and they never put it in hardcover. It beats me. Last of the Jedi never made it in hardcover. Jude Watson wrote 2 standalone. Well, I guess they're a duology. I have the 2-in-1 paperback of them from back in the day. There's like Legacy of the Jedi and Secrets of the Jedi. Those both came out in hardcover. But there's not a whole lot of the young adult stuff in hardcover. Junior Jedi Knights is another one that never made it into hardcover. That's a weird one. If Young Jedi Knights did, I don't know why Junior Jedi Knights didn't. And this is not counting like library bound, because you can find them in library bound if you really look. But I'm not into the library bound thing. They're kind of trashed if you do find them, from what I've seen in the wild. The paperbacks often tend to be better kept. And that's not saying much for better kept, because they're kids' books. That's something that's also a pain in the ass when collecting these books. There's a lot of times the shit's kicked out of them. I remember when I met Dave Wolverton, he was so shocked at how nice my first Jedi Apprentice book was, because he wrote the first one, and I have a signed copy. And I said, I would have never gotten another one. I wanted this book to last. So, and that's something I learned from my mother. My mother is one of the reasons I read in general. She reads an awful lot. Not so much anymore. She still reads, but not like she did when I was a kid. But she can read a paperback in such a way that it looks brand new after she read it. Like if it was a new book. Like, she's just very delicate with her books. And I picked up on that. And my sister's the same way. We're all... Even my dad to a certain point. My mom's a fun person. She's the reason my dad reads, and that my sister and I actively read. I mean, granted, my sister and I read more school stuff than anything else, because we're both in college but she was an inspiration in reading things, because she loved it so much. I used to fucking hate reading. And it came from the AR system, which is called accelerated reading for those of you who who got out of the public school system before that was a thing. I mean, it's a California thing, I do believe, and not really anywhere else. But accelerated reading was you read a certain amount of books that were worth a certain amount of points. and it was how they judged your reading skills. Well, I couldn't read well for a long time. This is a story I've told numerous times. And that didn't fucking help. I was constantly, until like 6th grade, I was constantly behind in reading. And you see, I get requiring kids to read. I understand that. But the way the AR system worked was fucked up. A lot of books that I wanted to read, like a lot of the Star Wars books, were never in the AR system. I always petitioned for them to be in there, but they never were. So a lot of times, at my later elementary years, the teachers would grandfather in certain things so I could get AR points, which is always a pain in the ass. Except for my 5th grade teacher, Mrs. England. She allowed book talks, which counted for AR points. And I would tell her about all the Boba Fett books and stuff. And eventually Splinter of the Mind's Eye, which was the last thing I read in 5th grade, which was my first adult EU novel. But certain things still weren't accepted, like comics. I didn't start reading comics till probably, like, a lot, actively until, like, 6th grade. And that was, I don't know, when did Legacy come out? Because that's when I really started hitting the comics hard. Legacy, KOTOR, those were my two that I read a shitload of. And then I got into the trades and reading Clone Wars and Empire. Basically, I call it the grand, when you were still in this, it was like a Bronze Age of Star Wars comic reading. God, this is like 22 minutes me talking. But we did a Legends podcast on that, The Rise and Fall of Dark Horse. One of the best, in my opinion, one of the best episodes of the podcast. Matt Wilkins was a guest, and Dylan and I all talked about that and gushed over it. Because Dylan and I come from about the same era of comic reading, but Matt came from the Dark Empire, Knights of the Old, Tales of the Jedi era, and continued. So he was there at the beginning of Dark Horse. And yeah, makes me really discouraged about the new Marvel stuff. Granted, Thrawn's pretty good, but Thrawn was a pretty good novel, and it's the same fucking thing, just with pretty good art. Actually, I did enjoy Dr. Aphra. I haven't finished the issue that came out last week. I'm about halfway through it. What is her name from Rebels is in it. And I'm a little hesitant to continue reading because I'm a season behind on Rebels, so I don't know if it'll spoil things. There's a lot of shit going on about Rebels Season 4 that I've been really trying to avoid. It's funny. I didn't fucking know half of what was going on in Rebels until, like, I bought the Blu-rays while they were on sale and watched them all. But now I'm just avoiding things like hell. It's awful. Yeah. But I finished Season 3 of Rebels. I think I talked about that last week. I'm pretty sure I finished it then. In all honesty, we came to Season 3. I didn't even do a Tuesday Treadmill Talks. That's right. That's why this is so long. Yeah, my Tuesday Treadmill Talks was fucking appallingly bad for 50, and I didn't want to release it, so I waited. Yeah. But I finished Season 3 of Rebels. It was the weakest of the 3 seasons I've watched. I liked Thrawn in it more than I thought. Maul was awful. The Mandalorian storyline felt forced and bad. The way Sabine got the Darksaber was bad and really stupid. And they just kind of wrote her out for a couple episodes only to bring her back in because they didn't know what to do. Ezra, I thought they were going to go in a different direction than they did, with Ezra kind of embracing the dark side, but they abandoned that immediately. Obi-Wan and Maul's final confrontation is lackluster, but I knew that. I remember when that leaked on YouTube, and I was just like, it's about what I expect from this show. The ending was that two-parter was so fucking boring that I played solitaire. I'm not kidding. I pulled out a deck of cards and I played solitaire because I just was not engaged. And I'll tell you why. So, Season 2, I'm going to spoil the season finales of Season 2 and 3 of Rebels. Season 2, they were in a Sith temple fighting the Inquisitors. Ezra goes toe-to-toe with Darth Vader and loses, but doesn't get killed because it's Rebels. God forbid Darth Vader kills a main character. And, like, they lose an important character who I can't stand for Clone Wars reasons, so you can probably think, I'll give you one guess as to who that was. And it's not Jar Jar. So Season 3, Thrawn starts an attack on their Rebel cell base on their weird planet with the spiders. And it's just, I don't care. I know they're going to get away. Not all of them do. The characters thought were going to die died. They get wrecked just enough. Ew, that was fucking disgusting. They get wrecked just enough that they can be like, oh, we'll still be rebels in Season 4, sort of thing. And Thrawn lets them get away. Well, I don't know if he does or not. It's hard to, I don't think he meant to this time. But it never seems like he means to, and then he says he does. Which is fucking irritating. It's like when Darth Vader lets them get away. I'm just like, what the fuck? You're Darth fucking Vader! Fucking kill their asses! Kanan never was knighted! Ezra's trained by him and not very strong in the Force. Oh, actually, never mind. They made Ezra strong in the Force for some reason. Because they can't have Luke in the show. So, yeah. I need to cut this off before we hit the half-hour mark. So, anyway, have a nice day.